You are listening to Green Talk, presented by GreenRunsDeep.com. Now, here's your host.
Jordan puts on his show. Jordan, tongue it. As soon as that truck goes out, you know something's going to happen. Oh, showtime for Mr. Jordan.
What's up, Celtics fans, and welcome to this edition of Green Talk. Today we got a writer from GreenRunsDeep.com and Trent Fleming, as always. How are you, man?
I'm doing all right, man. Good to have you back, Jordan.
Thank you. And we also got our executive producer, Brandon Kivlin, here with us today. How are you?
I'm doing well.
That's good. Today we got a pretty good show for you guys today. We're going to be talking about the Cavs and Bulls series and a little bit about the Grizzlies and the Warriors and the other two series, and talk about our greatest Celtics bracket results that we started on Twitter last week, and also a little segment called Start One, Sit One.
Basically, what you're doing is you're picking. I'm gonna give you a duo from a team, like say LeBron and Kyrie, and then you tell me which one you would start your franchise with, and why you wouldn't choose the other one.
Gotcha.
Kind of thing.
Well, that sounds great. Well, let's hop right into it and talk about the Cavs and Bulls series. What are your thoughts on that so far, Trent?
This is the most entertaining series to me right now because I'm not the biggest Bulls fan, and I'm not really a huge Cavs fan, but I do have an appreciation for LeBron and the fact that he's the greatest player that we've got in the league right now, and he's kind of our generation's Michael Jordan. And to me, that's something that we should appreciate and not hate on, because the guy, he's a great player. I mean, say what you want about him, he's still a great player. And watching him go out there, hit that buzzer beater after D Rose put the dagger in him with that three from like 40 feet in game two, or game three rather. It was really, really fun to watch. I was on the edge of my seat for the last 5 minutes of that game, and man, I'm so excited to see what's going to happen tonight. And hopefully we get a seventh game out of this thing, man, because I don't want it to end.
So what do you think about LeBron going inside the huddle and David Blatt drawing up a play for him to take the ball out, but he's saying, "Nah, give me the ball and get out my way"? What do you think about that?
I think it's pretty standard for somebody of his caliber, considering he is the star player on that team. He takes a lot of responsibility. He's an on the court coach, and when Blatt draws up a play that doesn't have him involved in it, I'd be asking questions too. So I think it was really the right move, obviously, and the fact that he hit that jumper made it all the more sweet. But they played really well during down the end of down the stretch of that game, and David Blatt almost lost it for him a couple times. I mean, there was a time where he should have called a timeout that he didn't. There was another time that he tried to call a timeout that he didn't have, and then like you were saying, Jay, he try to draw up a play without LeBron James in it. Like, if you got LeBron James, you better have him taking that shot.
That's kind of like how the Seattle Seahawks ended the Super Bowl by not giving it to Marshawn Lynch.
That's that's debatable, but the football, we'll talk about that later. But it is kind of the same thing. If you got the star player, put the ball in his hands, especially if he's willing to take the shot. And not every player is willing to take the shot. I was listening to an interview this morning with Chauncey Billups. Chauncey Billups was talking about how not every star player wants to take that shot at the end of the game. And the fact that LeBron does and guys like D Rose do, it really separates them from being great players to being phenomenal players when they're able to take on all that responsibility and in these two cases deliver.
I think it's interesting how, I haven't really thought much of David Blatt this year, but especially after this series, you keep seeing those pictures of whoever that assistant coach is. He keeps trying to call timeouts. It really seems like LeBron and whoever that assistant coach is really the head of that team.
And Tyronn Lue.
Yeah.
The guy that Allen Iverson stepped over in the finals.
Yeah, that's just interesting to me. Derrick Rose, he called bank, and Paul Pierce called game. I wonder what LeBron James called on that last shot.
You know what? If it was me, I'd probably bite off of Paul Pierce, because that was the line of the century right there. I called game. Oh man, that dude has so much swag, man.
Oh my gosh! And I love how he can just he can go in the media and say whatever he wants.
He's got that kind of rapport, and he's not afraid to call out guys, and I think that's another difference between being just your average great player and being that next step above. And Paul Pierce has shown us over the course of his 14 15 years in the league that he's that upper echelon kind of guy. He's very subdued with it. He doesn't really he's not going to go out there, especially now, and score you 35 points a game, but when it comes down to it, Paul Pierce is going to sink that big shot, and he's shown that time in and time out.
And that's what I love about him. That's the truth.
Yeah, man, exactly. That's the truth.
The Wizards would be kind of stupid to not let him have the ball in the final seconds of the game.
Seriously, especially without John Wall on the floor. That's also a really interesting series, because the injury to John Wall has really changed how the Wizards run their offense. And, it hasn't necessarily stopped them from being effective, which is really impressive when you think about what a fixture John Wall is in that team. It really speaks to a lot of the character and probably to a lot of Paul Pierce and his leadership in that locker room.
Yeah, Paul Pierce is definitely making the difference over there for sure.
That's what they brought him there for. So let's talk about tonight's games. We got the Bulls and Cavaliers at 7 o'clock, and then we got Clippers versus Rockets at 9:30. Let's start with the Clippers versus Rockets series. Y'all think it's going to end tonight with the Clippers winning and taking the series?
Yeah, what do you think, Brandon?
I don't think it's going to end tonight, and I'm personally hoping it won't end tonight, because I'm going out to LA, and I'm hoping to catch a game down the road, hopefully. I don't think that it's going to end tonight. I think the Rockets are going to win this, but I do think that the Clippers will take this one eventually. I've been really surprised by both teams in this playoffs. I didn't think that the Clippers had the bench, but Austin Rivers has really stepped up, which I didn't see that coming for sure.
I think that's the biggest shocker of the series to Austin Rivers.
Well, and Big Baby being a viable, rotational player in the playoffs. Like, that dude's huge. I don't know how he moves up and down the court like he does.
Well, he's still real young, and he's athletic. Yeah, he's got some of the characteristics that you need to be good in the league. It's just his pedigree as far as being Doc's son hasn't really come to fruition. Like, we haven't really seen him kind of fill those shoes yet. But his attitude has also improved, and you can tell by the way he's playing out there. A lot of guys didn't want to play with him, especially when he was in New Orleans. A lot of guys were like, I don't like this kid. I just don't like him. He's arrogant. He's this. He's that. But since he's got with Doc and Doc's got his hands on him all the time, I think it's really changed the way Austin looks at the game, and it really changes how he sees himself as a piece to the puzzle and not the guy. And that was probably his biggest flaw. And now that he's kind of assimilating himself into a package deal instead of just trying to be the guy, it's really been effective for them.
So let's go into the Bulls and Cavaliers series. Do you guys think the Bulls I think the Bulls are going to take it tonight. What are you guys thinking?
Go ahead.
I'm going Cavs. I'm going Cavs in this one because they're playing in the Q. They just came off of that huge win in Chicago, and I just think that took a lot out of the Bulls. Not having Pau Gasol is going to be a big deal. I don't know if he was cleared to play yet or not, but
no,
I don't think he is. It showed that it was a big deal losing Pau down low, but it really depends on how Kyrie plays. Because we know LeBron's going to go out there, and even with the ankle injury, LeBron's going to probably give you a good 35 minutes and put up some points and assists and rebounds like he always does. But if Kyrie can get himself 20 points, I don't see the Bulls pulling that one out.
Yeah, I agree with you completely, and I think it's a matter of Pau Gasol. I think he made an under the radar kind of effect on that team, and he's played such a big part in their success. And in terms of looking at his replacement, that rookie, I never am able to say his name correctly. It's Mirotic or something. I don't want him. I don't want him to take the place of Gasol, who I think has been so had such a great impact on their success this year. So and I never want to bet against LeBron James, but I had the same reasoning with the Spurs, and I was wrong there. So expect some surprises, but I'm not sure that this is the matchup to expect the surprise.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of Jordan?
I'm gonna go with my gut and just say the Bulls are gonna win. Pau Gasol, yes, that's a big loss for them, but he is a game time decision. He may or may not play, but I think Rose and Jimmy Butler are ready to step up and take this team to victory. And plus James also has a sprained ankle, I think, or something like that.
Yeah,
he's got a little bit of an ankle.
Yeah, that may affect his playing as well. So you never know. I'm sticking behind the Bulls for this series, but. Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about. First let's go ahead and take a break, and then when we come back, we'll continue this conversation a little bit and talk about the Grizzlies versus the Warriors.
Thanks for listening to Green Talk, presented by GreenRunsDeep.com. Remember to check us out on Instagram @CelticsNation5, on Twitter @CelticsNation5, and of course the website GreenRunsDeep.com. And now back to the show.
All right, welcome back, Celtics fans and other NBA fans. We are back, and we are going to continue our conversation that we were starting before the break and hop right into Grizzlies versus the Warriors. So let's get your take on how the series has been going so far, Trent.
Well, it's gone differently than I thought it was going to go. The Grizzlies defense, with Mike Conley and Tony Allen, and those two horses underneath the basket in Gasol and Randolph, those guys have really changed the way that this series was going to go to begin with. Everybody thought that Golden State was just going to run all over the place and hit jumpers and be free-flowing like they always are, but it has slowed down dramatically. Up until last night, I think Curry was hitting, 19% from three? I mean, it was pretty bad. It was really bad, and the thing about it is that the Grizzlies focus so much on defense first that it completely overshadows everything else that they try to do on the court. They want to stop you, and if they get points on the other end of the floor, that's good too. But what they want to do is prevent you from scoring, and they do it better than anybody else in the league. They are the Seattle Seahawks of the NBA. They're the guys that they're not trying to score a ton of points. They're trying to beat you with defense and running, like Seattle does. Seattle breaks it down to where they run the football and they play real tough defense. And the Grizzlies are kind of the same thing. They want to grind you. They want to make sure that you feel it the next day. And I think that they've done a really good job against a primarily jump shooting team. And last night was the exception. That one got out of hand quick. But when they have their guys going real well, especially when they're getting the ball inside to Gasol and Randolph, and they're running that high pick and roll really well, those cats are dangerous. They really are dangerous, and I wouldn't be surprised if they come out of this series. I was really impressed with them.
You wouldn't be surprised if they came out of the series?
I wouldn't.
Wow.
I would not be surprised if Memphis won that series.
That's bold.
I would have to agree with Trent. I wouldn't be that surprised as well. When this series first started, I thought I'm not gonna lie, I thought Golden State was gonna kind of run all over Memphis. But watching these past couple of games, how Memphis has just been kind of tearing them up on defense. Well, not last game, but the games before that, how they've been tearing them up on defense. It's kind of, I don't know, kind of having me thinking that maybe they can slow down or contain Curry enough to be able to get some W's down the line and be able to take this series and, continue on.
Well, and the thing about it is that playing that defense that well is sustainable because it's all about effort. You just give the effort every day, and especially when you have perimeter guys like Conley and Allen who play that real tight, defense, and they want to stop you. There's not a lot of guys in the league that pride themselves on being that kind of a guy. Tony Allen wants to get in your head. He wants to make sure that you can't score. That's his prime reason for being on the floor. He loves it. And he was one of the big reasons why in 08, 08 when the Celtics won, he played some really great lockdown defense in the finals. And not a lot of people really give him a whole lot of credit for that because he doesn't score a whole lot. Oh, well, he doesn't score you 12 points a game. Big deal. The dude's out there guarding the best player on the floor from the other team, and he's got 3 other guys around him. And when you have Jeff Green on the floor, you got 4 other guys around you that can score the basketball. So all Tony Allen needs to do is get his 4 steals a game and go out there and stop the best guy from even touching the basketball, which is what he did to Steph Curry through the first, 3 games of the series. He stopped him from touching the ball.
People seem to forget that defense does win games. It really does.
It's really phenomenal.